Everyone. So today we'll start with the next session of web designing. In the previous session you have already studied some of the tags such as form tags, form elements, and you have already studied text field, how to display a text field and how to display password field on the form. In today's session, we will study the next form elements. Today, we will start with the next form element, that is checkbox. Checkbox. Next, we will study radio button. Radio button. Then we will study buttons such as submit button. Then we will study reset button. Then we are going to study image button. Image button. So we will start with the next control, that is checkbox. So first of all we will see what is the use of checkbox control. Checkbox controls are used when a user is supposed to select more than one option. Suppose you want the output something like vehicle. Here, suppose a user is supposed to select any one of these. This is the output that is required. So in this, the user is supposed to select any two. There are two options available. In this, the user can select both. A person may have two-wheeler and four-wheeler both, or a person may have only two-wheeler or only four-wheeler. So in this case, there are the chances that he might select both or he might select one. So when such situations occur where a user is supposed to select more than one options, in that case we will go with checkbox control or checkbox form element. So to get this particular output or to get this particular structure, let's see how to write a tag for that. So as we are going to talk about form elements, the first tag will be form. The first tag will be form. After that, next we need this label, that is vehicle. We need this label vehicle. After that, in the next line, this control has to be displayed. So we are going to take BR tag. Then we need this particular checkbox. So for that, we are going to write the tag input. Input type is equal to inside the double quote checkbox. Inside the double quote checkbox. Then give the name to that particular control. Name is equal to, suppose I say chk underscore 2, and then finally value is equal to inside double quote two-wheeler, double quote complete, tag complete. I hope it is understood. See, the important thing is I need this particular checkbox. So after mentioning this checkbox, for this particular checkbox, we need to write the tag input. Input type is equal to checkbox, name is equal to chk underscore 2. Here name can be given according to the user's wish. You can give any name here. I have given it here as chk. As it is a checkbox, I have given it as chk underscore 2 double quote complete. When the user selects that particular control, the value should be two-wheeler. So after this, after mentioning these three attributes, that is type, name and value, I have completed the tag. So when you specify this particular tag, you will get the output as checkbox. Now in front of this particular checkbox, you need the label two-wheeler. You need the label two-wheeler. So again, two-wheeler has to be written. Two-wheeler. Now after two-wheeler, in the next line this checkbox is written. So see, in the next line, so as we are talking about next line, the tag should be BR. the tag should be BR. Now for in the next line we need another checkbox. So for another checkbox, the tag will be input, type is equal to again checkbox, then name. Give the name to that particular checkbox. Name is equal to CHK_4 name, and then finally value. Value is equal to, suppose I say 4, or here I will give it as F Wheeler, double quote complete, tag complete. So after this we need the label 4-wheeler. So here you mention it as 4-wheeler. So after this the form has to get closed. So /form. So here I hope it is understood. So as we are talking about form elements, the form tag has to come. Within this particular form we need this label. So label is there. Then in the next line these two form elements are displayed. So here one BR tag has to come. Now in this program, the important thing you need to notice is, as we need a checkbox, we have given the type is equal to checkbox. So for input type we have given the type is equal to checkbox. Along with this checkbox there are two more attributes, that is name. You have to give the name to that particular form element and you have to specify the value for that particular form element. So for this particular output you need to write this particular code. So now this completes checkbox. So what is the purpose of checkbox? If you want to select more than one options out of the available options, then you have to go with checkbox. Now in the same way, let's check out what is the use of radio button. So radio buttons are used when only one option is to be selected out of multiple options. Suppose I take the example of gender, male and female. Suppose I want this particular output. Okay, so in these two options, out of these two options, male and female, any one option has to be selected. Any one option must be selected. So for this particular purpose we are going to go with radio button. So in this case the user cannot select both the options, or the user must select any one option only. So in this case we are going to go with radio buttons. So let's see how to get a radio button control. So inside this output, the first label is gender. In the next line we have to get this radio button. So for that the type input type is equal to inside double quote radio. The important thing is type is equal to radio. Now after this name is equal to give here it as gender. Then value. When a person selects this particular radio button, the value it should have is male. Double quote complete, tag complete. Now after that, in the same way, the next one after that particular radio button. Now here the important thing you need to know is input type is equal to radio. As I need a radio button, I have kept the type as radio. Then I have mentioned another two attributes, that is name and value. Now after this particular tag I will get this radio button, but after this radio button I need this label, so I have to mention it as male here. Then I will get this label. After this label I need the next radio button, so that is for female. So input type is equal to, again the control we need is radio button, so here the type will be radio. Then name is equal to gender. when that particular radio button is selected, in that case the value should be female. So here we have given the value as female, and then after this radio button we need this particular label. So here mention it as female. Then finally close that particular form tag. I hope it is understood. Now see, observe here once again. For what is the use of radio button? Radio buttons are used only in the case where the user is supposed to select any one option out of the number of available options. Now here we are going to take the example of gender. Out of number of options, the user is supposed to select any one option, either male or female. So here the important thing is we have kept the type as radio. Input type is equal to radio, then we have given the name and we have specified the value. So the similar example you can take of an multiple choice exam, where out of 4 or 5 options the user is supposed to select any one option. That example also can be considered here for radio button. I hope you have understood the difference between checkbox and radio button. So for checkbox are used in the situation where the user can select more than one options, and for radio button is used in the situation where the user is supposed to select only one option. Now after these two controls, the next one we are going to see is different types of buttons, that is submit, reset and image button. Let's see one by one. So first is submit button. First one is submit button. First one is submit button. So what is the purpose of the submit button? When you click on a submit button, the form will be automatically submitted to the server. The content or the data that is entered on that particular form, it will be submitted to the server. So for submit button, we are going to take the tag input. Tag will be input. Type is going to change, that will be type is equal to submit. Then give the name to that particular control. Name is equal to submit, and then finally value. Value is equal to, we will give it in caps. And why is that so? Because as it is a button, on the button the text will appear. So whatever we mention here, that is in the value attribute, value is equal to submit. So that particular text will appear on the button. Now next is reset button. So what is the purpose of reset button? Reset button will clear all the data that is entered on a particular form. It will automatically initialize all the form elements to the starting value or to the initial value. So in this case the type will be reset. Tag is same, that is input. Type is equal to reset. Type is equal to reset. In the same way, give the name to that particular button, and then finally value. Finally value. Value is equal to, suppose I say reset and tag complete. Now suppose here I have written it as clear. Suppose I say here I have written it as clear. So in this case, what will be the output of this particular button? On this particular button, the text that will appear is clear. The text that will appear is clear. There, suppose I say reset, here the text will appear as reset. Here suppose I say reset, then in that case, here also it will appear as, on the button also the text that will appear will be reset. So that is the use of value attribute. In the same way, here also when I say value is equal to submit, on a particular button, that this particular button will be of type submit. On this particular button the output will be submit. Here suppose I say save. So here on the button also it will appear as save. So that is the use of value attribute. I hope it is understood. For submit, the only thing that will change is type is equal to submit. Then you have to specify the name and value. Then for reset, the type will be reset. Then you have to specify the name and value. The next one is image button. Now in this case, in case of image button, what is going to happen is the type input type is equal to image. Here input type is equal to image. You specify the name here for that particular control. Name is equal to, suppose I say img underscore btn, and here as we are going to take image for a particular button, we have to specify the source. src is equal to, suppose I say sunset.jpg. So this is how it will work. Let's see what will be the output of this. So for this, if I say input type is equal to image, you will get an image with the background of sunset. You will get the image with the background of sunset. So this is how there are different types of buttons available as form elements in HTML. There is one more control that has drop down control. It is also called as select box. Let's see how it works. You have already used this control in so many applications such as MS Word. This particular control will look like something like this, with the text field, and there will be a drop down here. Suppose I want the output something like this: select country. When I click here, it should display it as India, Russia, and suppose I say so. Suppose I want this particular output. So how it has to be? The main thing is what? When I click here, then only this drop down list should appear. When I click here, then only these options will be visible. Otherwise it will be visible as a normal text box with this particular arrow mark. So this particular control is called as a drop down list. It is also called as select box. Let's see how to get this particular output. Now as we are talking about form element, so the first tag will be form. Now after this, we need to get the label select country. We need to get the label as select country. Then after this, we need this particular drop down in the next line. So here it will be BR. Then after this, we need this particular control. So the tag for that is select. The tag we are going to use for drop down is select. Now in this particular control or in this particular form element, there are three options available. Okay, so within this particular tag, we are going to write three option tags, that is option India / option. Then in the same way, option, what is the next? It is next country, that is Russia. After that, the next one is Australia. Then finally / option. Now all the options that is present in this drop down is mentioned here. So finally we have to close the select tag. So /select. So /select, and we have to close the entire form tag. So here we have to mention it as /form. I hope it is understood. So using this particular control, you can select one or more options. Using this particular control, you can select one or more options. So that is the reason it is called as select box. And when you click on this particular arrow mark, then only this options list will be displayed. Then only that list will be displayed, and hence it is called as drop down list. I hope it is understood. So this completes all the form elements that is present in HTML. What are the form elements? The first you saw is text field, then you saw text area, then we saw how to display the password, then next these checkbox, radio buttons, then comes select box or drop down list, and the other three buttons, that is submit, reset and image button. Now let's see a simple example of how form exactly works and what are the different attributes that is present in form element. Let's take a simple example. Now before starting with an example, there are two important attributes that you need to know. Under form tag, there are two important attributes. There are two important attributes present. Now let's take an example. Suppose this is form1.html, and suppose this is form2.html. Now in this particular form1, there are some data present here. Suppose this is submit button, this is username, and this is password. Okay, so in this particular form, we are entering username and we are asking for the password. When after entering all this information, when the user clicks on submit, immediately this particular page should appear. I hope it is understood. After entering all this information, when the user clicks on submit button, this particular page should appear. So for that particular action or for that particular task, we are going to use the attribute method, and the second one is action. Now let's see how to write the tag for this particular purpose. Form method is equal to get, form is equal to get, and then finally action is equal to, now after clicking on submit button, which page is to appear? Form2.html. So action is equal to form2.html. I hope it is understood. See, two things you need to know here. When you click on submit button, what happens is the browser will submit that particular page to the next page, which is mentioned in the action attribute, Here in the action attribute, we have specified the next page as form2.html. So as soon as you click on the submit button, the next page that will appear is form2.html. Now one more thing is method is equal to get. Now method is an attribute that is used to send the information, and that will decide how the data from one page it will be sent to the next page. How the data will be sent from one page to another page. If method is equal to get, data from this particular page to the next page will be sent using the address bar, and all the data will be visible on the address bar. If I say method is equal to post, no data will be visible to the user and the data will be kept confidential and it will be sent using HTTP. The data will be sent to the next page using HTTP. That is the reason when we are dealing with crucial information such as password or account number, we keep the method as post, because HTTP will take care of sending that particular information to the next page. So the important two attributes are which one? Method and action. So let's take an example. Let's take a simple example of how the form tag actually works. Now suppose we will take the user student's information. Let's take student's information. So suppose student ID, this is the text field, then name, then password for his account, then suppose we say hobbies. So the first one, suppose let's take it as cricket. Suppose the next checkbox as games, and finally submit. And when the user clicks on submit button, it should appear as submitted successfully. So this will be form1.html and this will be form2.html. So let's start writing the code for this. See, this is the first form and this is the second form. You need to know how to write the code for the first form. First we will start writing the tag for the first form and then we will write the tag for the next form. So we will start writing the code for the first form. Method is equal to post. We will keep the method as post. Method is equal to post. Then action is equal to, when the submit button is clicked, what should be the next page that has to be displayed? It has to be form2.html. Double quote complete, tag complete. Now after this, within the form, the first label is student ID. After that we need that particular normal text box. So it has to be input type is equal to inside double quote text. Then specify the name here. What is the purpose of that text box? It is student ID. So I will mention here it as SID. Tag complete. Then in the next line, the name has to come. So we have taken BR tag there. In the same way, name, input, type is equal to text, inside double quote, then name is equal to student name, then BR, input, type is equal to password, name is equal to inside double quote PWD, tag complete, then BR. Then comes hobbies. After hobbies, on the next line, the tag is checkbox. So for that, input type is equal to checkbox, name is equal to here, name is equal to CHK. Here it is cricket. So here we will mention it as CK. double quote complete. Then finally we'll close the tag. Then in the next line we have to display it as name is equal to games. So here it has to come as cricket. Here it should go to the next line, so BR has to come, then again games, then /BR, then at the end the submit button should come. So here we will take the tag as input, type is equal to submit, and then finally name is equal to inside the double quote submit double quote, and then finally tag complete. So this completes the entire form. So /form. I hope it is understood. So the first label here is from this particular tag. I will revise. Here it is hobbies. In the next line it should display as cricket and games. So we have taken BR tag here. Then input type is as these two are check boxes. We have to specify the type as checkbox. Then we have given the attribute name. Then we have specified these two labels. Then we have taken BR tag. In the next last line, the button we need is submit button. So input type is equal to submit. Then we are closing this particular form, and then comes the last form. So in this particular form, when you click on submit button, it should display as successfully created or created successfully, or any kind of message that the data is submitted properly. So it can be any HTML form, HTML. Here in that case, in case of next form, there is no need of form tag. Submitted successfully /body tag and /HTML tag. So this is the code for second HTML form. I hope it is understood. When you click on submit button, the next page, that is when you click on submit button, immediately successfully submitted or submitted successfully will appear. So I hope this is how the form tag will work. We will see the next tags in the next session. Thank you.